Hey everybody, welcome to the 3.3 and 3.4 review. As you can tell, I'm feeling pretty under the weather. So if you hear a bunch of jump cuts, it's just me pausing the video to cough up one of my lungs. That being said, I did the whole worksheet ahead of time to save time and have to talk less, I would hope. So please make sure your audio is on so you get the explanations. That being said, let's get started. This first one is in the 3.4 notes part 2. It's all in the calculator. So all I did was I typed this function into the calculator and did the quadratic regression and gave me this. Okay, and then I opened up a graphic page and typed it into the graph. For the full explanation, again, consult 3.4 notes. And then I did the menu 5-1 and I got 16. So when the ball's after 5 seconds, the ball is, I guess, 16 feet in the air. For the ones on the right, I'm just going to give you hints or maybe the answer. So get the equation and just know after 4 seconds the answer should be 24. Okay. Number 2A, write a quadratic function in vertex form with the maximum value at -1, 12, and 0 is at x equals -3 and x equals 1. So what I did was I underlined maximum value. That means A is going to be negative and it's going to be opening down. And if it gives you a maximum value, it's giving you the vertex. So I label that H and K. And the zeros are at -3 and 1. And so you see how it says vertex form. So I'm not going to plug it into that P and Q formula. I'm going to plug it into the vertex form formula. So that's why I wrote out the zeros at x equals -3, like -3, 0 and 1, 0. So if you're using vertex point, you only need one of the points. So as you can see, I plugged in -1 and 12 for h and k, so that became x plus 1 since the formula is x minus h. And then the next step I did was I plugged in the -3, 0, and so 0 equals a times -3 plus 1 squared plus 12. So all this got me 4a. So I minus 12 to the other side. -12 divided by 4 gets me a is -3. So put it all together, -3 times x plus 1 squared plus 12. Okay, it's just basically plugging in -3 right there. For the second one, I just labeled everything for you. It's an intercept form. So what I wrote here for you is actually wrong. I'm glad I'm going over it. Okay, what it should say is f of x equals a times x minus p times x minus q. So instead of writing h comma k here, because that's the vertex, you're going to want to write x comma y for that one. Okay, and then use your other points for your p and your q. So if x equals -3 and 1, then p equals -3, and this is a q. That's not a good q. I think I accidentally erased some of it. So that's not a good q either. There, now it says q. So plug in -3 and 1 for p and q, and -1 and 12 for x and y. Okay, that's your hint. 3a, what's the equation of the quadratic function that's vertically compressed by a factor of 1/2 with a minimum at 3? So minimum at 3, that's a y value, because the minimum or maximum is the y value. And then it says axis of symmetry at x equals 4. So that's obviously an x value. So if it's talking about minimum and maximum, it's talking about the vertex. So that's going to be in like your 3.3 notes, okay? This is also 3.3 notes up here. Or is it 3.4? This is only over 2 sections, so anyway. I just wrote the equation. I plugged in the 1/2. And then I used vertex form because it gave me the vertex. It gave me the vertex at 4, 3, basically the way it was worded. So I plugged in 4, x minus 4, because it's x minus h squared, plus 3 through the 1/2 in front. That's all you had to do. So this one, I just helped you out. A is going to be 2, because that's the vertical stretch factor. Maximum at -2. So that's going to be your k value, and x equals -1. That's going to be your h value. So you're going to use that vertex form again. Number 4, this one's kind of an interesting problem. You just have to know what a focus of Directrix looks like. So you have to look at the introductory notes, 3.3 part 1, if you want a more detailed explanation of this. But a parabolic dish is positioned with its receiver 4 feet from the vertex. Write an equation for the parabolic cross-section of the vertex located at the origin. So what I did here with these red lines is I poorly drew like my axis, like this is my y-axis, that's my x-axis. And so if this is 4 feet out, then I wrote it as a coordinate 4, 0. And so that would be your focus. Okay, your focus would be at 4, 0. So that means P equals 4. Okay. That being said, I plugged in 4 into the formula. X equals 1 over 4p times y squared. Why is it x equals? Because it's a sideways parabola. The p is the x coordinate. Okay, so if the p is the x coordinate, then it's going to be an x equals equation. So 4 times 4 is 16, so x equals 1 over 16 y squared. Alright? This other one is the exact same problem, except p is 5. So I think you should be able to do that without any more help. 5a, what's the equation of the parabola that has a focus at 2.50 and a directrix at x equals negative 2.5? So remember, the directrix is x equals negative p. Okay, so that tells me p is going to be 2.5. The focus also tells you it, and so it's the x coordinate, which means my equation is going to be an x equals. So I wrote x equals 1 over 4 times 2.5 y squared, which is x equals 1 over 10 times y squared. This one, I just wrote down the formula, 1 over 4p times x squared. It's in y equals because your directrix is in y equals, and the focus has p at the y coordinate. So there's your p. Alright, just use parentheses. Okay, 6. What's the focus and directrix when the equation is y equals negative 1 over 32x squared? So this is going to be your 3.3 part 2 notes, where you need to get it to the x squared equals. So what I did was I times both sides by negative 32. Why? Because I flipped that fraction and I multiplied it to both sides. Okay? So that gets me negative 32y equals x squared. That number by the y is your 4p. So I wrote 4p equals negative 32. I divided by 4, and I get p equals negative 8. Since I get p equals negative 8, and since the original equation was in y equals, I put it in the y coordinate, so focus is 0, negative 8, and then I flip the sign for the directrix, y equals positive 8. Okay, so the one next to it, I just started you off, flip it, multiply each side by 44, and then this one's going in x equals, so your focus is the x coordinate, and then directrix is x equals, and then I even wrote a negative there, so you don't forget to flip the sign. 7a, what's the focus directrix when the equation is that? So, get it in x squared equals, so I plus 7y to the other side. So now it says 21x squared equals 7y, so I divide it by 21 instead of 7 because it needs to be x squared equals. That's why you have to divide by 21. So 7 over 21 equals 1/3. So x squared equals 1/3 y, so that 1/3 is your 4p. So set 4p equal to 1/3, divide 4 to each side, you get 1 over 12. So because it was x squared equals, it's going to be a y equals equation. So the focus is the y coordinate, so 0, 1 over 12, and directrix is y equals negative 1 over 12. This other one is the same process, just different numbers. So I give you the answer. The focus is 0, 5 over 4, and directrix is y equals negative 5, and then I forgot to write over 4, and I'm doing that right now. Yay, fixed it. Okay. So write the equation of the parabola in vertex form that passes through negative 1, 16, and has a vertex of negative 2, 32. So that's your h comma k. That's your x, y. So what did I do? I plugged in negative 2, 32 for my h and my k. Remember the h, it'll flip because it's x minus h. So x minus negative 2 turns out x plus 2. squared plus 32. Plug in this for x and y. 16 equals a times negative 1 plus 2 squared plus 32. This just makes 1. So 1 squared is 1. So I have 1a plus 32 equals 16. So negative 16 equals a, because I subtracted 32 to the other side. And so my final answer is negative 16 times x plus 2 plus 32. Again, I just plugged in negative 16 to that first step. So on the one to the right of it, I just give you the final answer. You need to show your work. Any and all of these on the right, you need to show work. So your final answer should be negative 2 times x plus 3 squared plus 3. Hopefully I don't make a mistake on the ones that you should do, on the ones I give you help on. But given this graph, identify the axis, symmetry, focus, and equation. So it gives me one piece of information, the directrix, which means the directrix is y equals negative p. So I said p equals negative 3 over 4. Why? Because it says y equals positive 3 over 4. So that led me to this. The focus must be 0, negative 3 over 4, since the focus is 0, p. And the equation is 1 over 4p times x squared. So I plugged in negative 3 over 4, and that got me negative 1/3. And so that's my equation. And since it was a y equals equation, the axis symmetry is x equals 0. Okay? The one next to it is an x equals form. So not a whole lot changes except for the order of the focus. Okay, that flips. And then remember the equation is going to be x equals and y squared. And then the axis of symmetry, instead of that being x equals 0, that's going to be y equals 0. So I think you could do the rest. I hope this helped. Remember to work through all the ones on the right on your own. Just use my hints to help get you started if you don't know what to do. Or if I give you the answer, use it to check your work. I feel like I just skipped one. Oh my gosh, I did. Alright, number 9. X-intercepts a negative 2 and 2, passes through 12 and 28. So, the formula is x minus p, x minus q. So, x minus negative 2 turns into x plus 2. X minus q turns into x minus 2. Alright, and then I used 12 and 28 for my x and my y. So, I said 28 equals a times 12 plus 2 times 12 minus 2. This makes 14. That makes 10. Together, they multiply to get 140a. So, what did I do? Because I didn't show it, but if 28 equals 140a, then just divide each side by 140. All right, and that's gonna get you a equals 1 over 5. So I just plug in 1 over 5 right here, and so you see 1 over 5 times x plus 2 times x minus 2. On the one next to it, I just give you the final answer. Show your work, get me the A, and you should get 1 over 3 times x plus 1 times x plus 7. Okay, that'll wrap it up for the review. Again, it's over 3.3 and 3.4, so we had 2 notes. There's part 1 and part 2 for 3.3, and part 1 and part 2 for 3.4 as well, so check those if you need additional help. Good luck on the test, everyone. Bye. Oh yeah, don't forget to write stuff down on your note card. Any and all of these examples, whatever you could fit, you could write it on your note card. So, that's all I want to say. Bye again.